Joining us now, Nick Freitas, House of Delegates member, Culpeper area. Nick didn't get on the ballot. I don't want to rehash that, wasting my time. That's the past. I look forward. Nick running a write-in campaign in a district Republicans have to win. Nick, great to have you with us.
Great to be on, John.
I don't want to rehash why you're not on the ballot, all right? I want to look forward, not back. We've only got 71 days. I don't have time to waste. I don't think anybody else does either. Tell us about your write-in campaign. Democrats are telling me they're going to win that seat. Give us the scoop.
Oh, I sure hope they believe that, and I sure hope they try to, because I tell you right now, our write-in campaign is going well. We've got the funds. We've got the people on the ground. We're already knocking doors. We're going to knock on 60,000 doors this election cycle. And the thing that's been the most amazing so far is that out of all the doors that we've knocked, the vast majority of people already know what's going on, are already aware of the write-in campaign, already know what to do, and are furious that this whole thing went down, especially the way the State Board of Elections responded in their last meeting. So, no, we're very confident. We're going to keep working. But in addition to that, we're also helping out other candidates. So I've got a fundraiser tonight that I'm attending for Ian Lovejoy, who's running against Delegate Lee Carter, a resident socialist in the General Assembly. And then on Friday, we're going to be down helping Rich Anderson. So, and of course, we're working very closely with Bryce Reeves as our districts overlap. So we're all coordinating our efforts, and we're all working very hard.
Okay, look, I just want to be candid with our listeners, right? There's a lot of infighting, once again, Nick, going on in the Republican Party on social media, which I believe right now with 71 days to go, with Republicans facing what could be a nuclear winter and political Armageddon if you guys get beat and the Democrats take over the House and the Senate. I don't think a lot of these Republicans really understand what's at stake here, right? And I've talked to Republicans and said, well, if the Democrats take over, they've already done that in the past. Oh, no, that was a much different Democratic Party than you have now. Nick, can you outline for us, in your judgment, I mean, you serve in the House, you know what these bills are that you have defeated. Can you outline for our listeners what happens January 2020 if the Democrats take control of the House of Delegates and the state Senate? What happens, Nick?
Well, I'll let the Democrats speak for themselves. Delegate Alfonso Lopez said that if they take the majority, the work of a lifetime will be accomplished in 2 afternoons. And when he said work of a lifetime, let me give you a little idea by it. Everybody knows what's going on with the governor, the lieutenant governor, the attorney general. If they're really paying attention, they might know what's going on with the Kathy Tran bill and the abortion up till birth bill, where they use your tax dollars to fund an abortion while a woman is going into active labor. They can do it all the way up into active labor. What they probably don't know is that we had a delegate that had a bill that would allow localities to impose minimum wages as high as $25, $30, and $50 an hour, which would destroy local business. We had delegates that were the same delegates that talk about quote unquote common sense gun laws that actually included laws that dealt with confiscation, that would make you a felon for owning certain firearms that you would purchase perfectly legally. These are the same people that also submitted legislation that says that if you're a convicted murderer, you can vote from prison.
Unbelievable.
This is the same Democrats that passed legislation or tried to pass legislation that had their own version of the Green New Deal. So what I think is happening is a lot of Republicans in Virginia don't realize that everything changed in 2017. When those 15 freshmen came over, they were not. It's not just those 15 freshmen were incredibly hardcore left-leaning. It's that they're bringing the entire Democrat caucus in their direction. And people think it's excluded to the federal government with people like Tlaib and Omar and Ocasio-Cortez and Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders. I am telling you, it isn't. These are the new thought leaders within the Democratic Party. And the rest of the Democrats are going along with them because they're scared to death of that far left-wing base. So, no, if they take control, it is not going to be this gradual, maybe a bill here, a bill there. It will be near instantaneous that they drastically change the law in Virginia to something that most Virginians would not even recognize or would have even thought was possible.
So let's lay out, you laid out some of the things they're going to do. And I think you capsulized it when you said that liberal House member Alfonso Lopez basically said what we've been working a lifetime on, we're going to get done in 2 afternoons. That's basically about as an accurate, candid statement as you can possibly have. So let me ask you this, Nick. Republicans, here we are, 71 days out, and they're still infighting each other on social media, wasting time and energy. I don't see that. Do you see that with the Dems? Are they fighting each other or are they fighting us?
Not in Virginia. I mean, you see it maybe at the presidential election level and whatnot because they've got several candidates running for president. But actually in Virginia, no, it's quite the opposite. And you would think that there would be plenty of opportunities for Democrats to actually fight with one another when you've got some of the people, like you mentioned, like Chap Peterson, right, Democrat in the Senate, who I don't agree with on much, but is a reasonable guy. You would think that the Democrats like Eileen Fillercorn would be calling out members like Ibrahim Samira for shouting out the president at the 400th anniversary of Jamestown. You'd think they'd be calling out Lee Carter, who was on Twitter actively joining Antifa. But they're silent. They don't do it. They are letting those guys run rampant because they think that's what the extreme base of the left-wing portion of the Democratic Party wants to hear. And so there's no accountability on that side whatsoever. And the thing I would tell my fellow Republicans, look, John, I don't think it's any secret that I'll engage in the infighting in the Republican Party when it's the primary season, because I believe the Republican Party needs to stand for something and it needs to stand strong, and every politician needs to be held accountable. But once we're past the primary, guys, it's over. We're now taking the field, okay? And you don't take the field and then have everybody running their own plays or trying to sabotage one another, because at this point, it's a very real probability that whatever differences we have in the Republican Party, I can't think of a single colleague of mine in the House of Delegates that wants to use your tax dollars in order to subsidize the abortion industry so they can go abort a child moments before birth. I don't know one of my colleagues that wants to do that. I know several people on the Democrat side that will not only vote for that, they will co-patron the legislation. And then when you point out the obvious problems and extremeness and morality issues with aborting a child moments before birth, you know what the response is? Well, what about fetal abnormalities? So the same people that lecture the rest of us on the right about compassion and tolerance are now saying that they've got to take our tax dollars to fund an abortion because a child might have Down syndrome.
Unbelievable.
I tell you what, John, if we let that win, if we let that take control of Virginia, we deserve exactly what's coming to us.
Well, that's what's going to happen right now with the fact that here it is 2 months after the primary, and Republicans are still fighting with each other on social media and other things. And every time I see one of these posts that, obviously we have to go there. We run a business. We're on there. We have to check it out. And every time I see one of them and like 5 or 6 people fighting with each other, I just say to myself, why aren't you fighting the Democrats? Why don't you take this energy, this time? You're at a computer, sitting behind a screen, having, a cup of coffee or a beer. I don't know what you're doing, but why not take that energy and call 15 of your friends and tell them how high the stakes are? Why not get on the phone and start making phone calls in somebody's district who's at risk? Why not ask 15 of your family members or friends for a donation to a certain campaign? Why not go knock on doors? Why not do a literature up? Why not do something helpful instead of this constant infighting that we get from Republicans that you never get from the Democrats? Look, you just mentioned Lee Carter. I just want to lay this out to everybody. Lee Carter is a House of Delegates member in Manassas. Lee Carter is going to be a committee chair if the Democrats win. Lee Carter is an avowed socialist. I think he's a communist. Lee Carter just went on Twitter, as Nick Freitas said, as Delegate Freitas said, and said, I will join Antifa. So you are going to get a committee chair in Virginia who is a member of a terrorist organization. And he's proud of it. And he's a communist. This is what you're faced with. You're going to have Kathy Tran getting a late anytime out of the birth canal, kill a baby bill passed in one day. That'll be the first thing they pass. And Governor Tunnels is going to sign it. All this at stake, Nick, and we're sitting around with 71 days to go worrying about what marriage Denver Riggleman presided over. Do you see where I'm coming from here?
Oh, no. At this point, no, we absolutely have to have focus. We have to be focused right now. We have to understand where the real threats lie at this point. Again, I'm not asking a single Republican to give up on their core convictions. I'm not asking them to stop holding their elected representatives accountable if they do something they don't like. But I am saying that there is a bigger picture here that we have to look at, because quite frankly, I think it would be terrifying to raise my kids in the kind of Virginia that the Democrats are pushing for right now. It doesn't bear any resemblance to the Virginia I currently know.
Let's get back to what the stakes are in this election right now. And I'm predicting that if the election were held today, 71 days out, Democrats are going to win everything. And, you know, you made a point earlier. There's no infighting there. Even with the moderates in the party, they never say a word. They just let it go because they're figuring, let's win and then we'll figure it out. Republicans never do that. Nick, what do Republicans have to do in the next 71 days to turn the corner and win this election?
I mean, they're going to have to turn frustration into actual action, information on what will actually happen than you are if you're reading the mainstream media. I guarantee you that much. And so you have an obligation to inform your neighbors about exactly what is coming down the pike if we lose this election cycle. And then the next thing is to give somebody something to do, whether if they want to knock doors, make phone calls, write a letter to the editor. One of the biggest things that you can do that is easy is just make sure on election day, if you're the political friend in your group of friends, if you're the one that everyone trusts, when they call up 2 days before the election and say, hey, what's going on? Who do I vote for? You need to be on the phone talking to those friends. You need to be reminding them a couple days before the election to get out there and vote. You need to be telling them why they need to vote and who they need to vote for. Because, John, the thing is that it is an either-or proposition, not just with respect to the legislation that will get passed if the Democrats take over, but we actually have very unique opportunities. There are 15, 16 Democrat freshmen right now, and a lot of those seats we can win back. Ian Lovejoy can beat Lee Carter. DJ Jordan can beat Elizabeth Guzman. Rich Anderson can beat Ayala. Randy Minshew can beat Wendy Goditis. There are people that we can win these races of seats that we currently don't hold, but we need people to understand what the stakes are and actually turn their frustration into action and help these people out. So there are a lot of races where we can be successful, and I would encourage you to find out who your delegate is. Just give them a call. They will be more than happy to put you to work doing something that you like in order to actually stand for something you care about.
Well, you know, Nick Freitas, and we're with Nick Freitas, House of Delegates member, running for re-election. He's got to run a write-in campaign, so you have to get involved with that also. But he was able to raise the money to do that, $500,000 plus he raised in order to win that. But, Nick, I got to just ask you this question. Part of my frustration is some of these Republicans running, I sense a fear. I sense a retrenchment, like they don't want to do media. They don't want to talk to anybody. They're sniping at each other, complaining about Kirk Cox, complaining about this, complaining about that. These are a lot of the delegates are doing that, or a lot of the candidates are doing that. And I just don't think that's healthy either. Look, you don't win, Nick. I mean, you know this better than anybody. You don't win by playing a defensive battle or playing not to lose. You win by going on offense. And I think a lot of these candidates out there need to stop whining on the Republican side, stop complaining, and go out and get to work and do what they have to do. And if they simply are able to tell constituents what the stakes are, I think they can turn this corner and win the election, because I think you're going to win. But I think if the election were held today, you're going to be in the minority. So this is kind of a wake-up call for people. This is kind of a ring the alarm bell, jump up and down to get people's attention, because, as you said, Nick, I don't think a lot of Republicans understand the ramifications of November if they lose. Am I right?
No, I think that's true. Because here's what we've noticed. The moment we actually inform people about actual bills that the Democrats tried to carry that never see the light of day because we have a Republican majority, right? It's not like the press is going to go and talk about it, because the press is carrying water most of the time for the Democrats.
Right.
So people have no idea that these bills are actually coming their way. And the only thing stopping it is one seat in the House of Delegates and one seat in the Senate. And as soon as we make them aware of that, people get energized. I've seen it time and time again. They get energized. They're aware. And look, I get it. Most people are living their lives, and we want them to be able to live their lives with as little government interference as possible. But in order for us to be able to do that, we need them to be energized about this race and to get involved so that we can continue to protect them from the sort of bills that are coming from the extreme left in Virginia.
Nick Freitas, we're out of time. I want to thank you for being with us. Nick, thank you so much. Good luck in your race. We'll have you back. Get people fired up.